announced, like a partial cabinet. And among the names that came back from the previous cabinet was Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary, Professor Kithure Kindiki. Then there was Defense Cabinet Secretary, Aden Duale. There was Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary, Davis Chirchir. This was a docket that was with Murkomen, but now kind of like going to Davis Chirchir. And then there's Environmental, Climate Change and Forestry to Rosalinda Soipan Tuya. And then Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Alice Wahome. And then there were other new cabinet secretaries that were also, let me say, nominated because they still have to be approved by Parliament. And unfortunately, it's a rubber stamp Parliament. So
okay, let me stop you there, Ali.
Yes,
so the ones who are former, because don't they have to go through nomination again?
This is where I'm saying ODM is failing to read the mood, and that is why you see individual politicians from ODM and Azimio coming and saying, no, maybe I'm sticking with the people. I'm sticking with the people because they understand that this is not a one-time thing. They are looking at it and they're realizing that that thing of assuming that politics is usually citizens are involved during campaign and voting. After campaign and voting, it goes back to politicians politicking is over. So, and that is what these other politicians, seasoned politicians need to realize. And the one thing that I'm like,
now, this hour we'll be talking about President Ruto's reappointment of cabinet secretaries he dismissed last week. We'll also be asking why Ruto is accusing the Ford Foundation of sponsoring the Gen Z protests in Kenya. Then Swahili Village was forced to pay a $500,000 fine following a wage theft case that just concluded. We'll also be talking about that. Now, please drop a comment below and tell us where you are tuned in from and what you think about these topics we're going to be having tonight. Now, I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. It's Friday the 20th of June, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to follow the One Mic Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And on panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mic Kamakawa. Our sports anchor Mika Och is in the building tonight, and our resident DJ Moshfire is on the decks. And also not forgetting that our super producer is none other than Mubelwa Wabandio. And before I get started, I can see, our fans are already in. Poleni for being slightly late. I can see Slay Odwora mekaribia pale, karibu sana Slay. I can see Washekendirangu, karibuni sana. And to all the rest, please type a comment. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Let us know what you think about the conversation we're going to be having tonight. So let me get just started right away here. Now, we know that anti-government protests that led to over 50 deaths in Kenya in the last few weeks are still dominating news headlines. In another unexpected twist this week, President William Ruto reappointed cabinet secretaries he had earlier dismissed following last week's dissolution. In what appears to be a well-calculated move to reconstitute his cabinet by recycling the rejected cabinet members, reliable sources inform us that President Ruto has also inked a deal with Azimio leader Raila Odinga to include members of the opposition in the cabinet. Now, President Ruto also accused the non-profit Ford Foundation of funding the ongoing protests. This week also saw the abduction of veteran journalist Macharia Gaido and the shooting of a K24 journalist by police while covering the demos. Now, in studio to discuss these events of the week is our regular panel, Mr. One Mic. We have Mika Och and DJ Moshfire. And I'm your co-host and politics anchor, Ali Badawi. I'll be talking about an upcoming Kenyan protest tomorrow at IMF HQ2 on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. So keep it locked for details on that. Those people who are living in the DMV. And I can see also Esther Mulusa is already in the building. Esther Mulusa is tuned in from Shimalavandu, Kakamega County. Karibu sana, Esther Mulusa. Tell us what Gen Zs in Kakamega are saying. Tell us what Gen Zs in Kakamega are feeling. Are they rejecting? Are they accepting? Or what exactly are they doing? Please type in the comments and let us know. And type in and let us know where you're tuned in from. I can see Stephen JJ is also in the building. And Asema Tukondani Kama SIM card all the way from Texas. Texas always heavily represented in the building. If you're not from Texas, please type in the comment section and tell us where you're tuned in from. And if you're from Texas, tell us what part of Texas you're tuned in from. Karibuni sana. So I want to take this opportunity to to welcome the panel. I think tutaanza na Mika Och because Mika ndo wa mnaona picha yake tu. Today Mika Och is in the building. Karibu sana Mika Och. How has your week been? And how have you been keeping up mentally with all these things that have been happening both in Kenya and in America? Mika.
Thank you, Ali. My week has been good. It's been okay. Just a busy. Alafu pia, today it was actually double busy.
Okay.
With Microsoft doing the thing.
Okay.
It's CloudStrike.
Yeah.
It's a
CrowdStrike.
crowd.
Yeah.
I will look at it.
And the products are Microsoft ndo ziliharibika.
Oh.
Yeah.
Walikuwa na microphone nako ndani alafu kwa Microsoft yeah, that one.
Ika omosh.
Iko umosh baya. Ikachelewa kwa umosh.
Deadly.
Alafu ikapotea vile umosh upotea.
Kabisa. Wallahi billahi.
Yeah. But how have you been keeping up with all these other news events happening both in Kenya?
So, you know, with these
and the
news
US?
events, like it started on Sunday, right? When somebody took out DJT. Yeah,
Someone tried to take out.
DJT,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, oh, damn.
Nikubaya.
Civil war, right? Because I was like, damn, hey, right next to it was ile Arsenal wameweka zote. But then the funny thing is that when you went to social media, people were making jokes about it. People were laughing it off. People were making memes about it. And I was like, okay, fine. Let's see how tomorrow comes out. And tomorrow comes out and it's fine. And then on Sunday, the same Sunday, there was a funeral. Actually, Saturday, there's a funeral in Kakamega, right? And everybody from Azimio told Baba, without mincing words, do not dare handshake with this guy. Everybody in his circles, right? Hata yeye mwenyewe akajifanya hapo akaongea akasema like
no dialogue.
No dialogue.
Yeah.
Then on Monday,
Things changed.
jamaa karuka watu
Kipetero.
mbaya.
Okay.
Yani mpaka nikajizondo alikuwa Joshua, labda Joshua ndo Janika alifika pale like Rail nilifika ile ujamaa angekuwa ni ukweli yendo Moses angefika pale kwa Red Sea arudi kuambia Farao unaongeza kitu ama nifungue ocean wapite. Right?
Okay.
So looking at that and then seeing the protests on Tuesday, it was too much. Like the police definitely had one agenda on Tuesday, and that was like no protest is efficacy BD. They were just violent from the word go. Like they were just they were throwing tear gases at matatus, and you know it gets to a point whereby then you see how they tried the dirty tricks they were doing on social media, trying to malign the names of people who have been involved, abduction of journalists. Wamepost numbers of journalists wale wanauliza maswali ngumu wasalimiwe. And then with the whole Republican
Convention. No?
Yeah.
Republican convention.
The
or
convention, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole Republican convention, and then now with the convention, now you see the people who I don't know if people know about 2025, Project 2025. The people who have been associated with Project 2025 are in there laughing, endorsing Nini, and this guy milking his attempted assassination. And then I was like, damn.
Okay.
The both countries I call home are effed up. Like they're going in such a funny Nini. So So it's been that kind of week whereby I can understand when people feel defeated or people feel like it's exhausting, but then you look at it and things are not that bad, right? There's still time to recover. Till the fat lady, and the lady sings,
fat lady hata Tintin ule lady alikuwa fat ule Madam Castiofor.
So yeah, anyway, so it's just been that week whereby you take a breath and look at things and then unajiambia aluta continua, anguka nayo, lazima yanguke.
Okay, sawa. Asante sana Mika. Then we also have on the panel DJ Moshfire. DJ Moshfire, karibu sana. How has your week been?
I'm here. Simule Semasiko. Useless buggers. My week has been nice. I'm alive. I'm kicking. And but to allude to what Mika has been saying, it's been a very long week. It's like the week never ended. Kuna ile beginning of the week, it's like the week never ended, and it's not going to end, because it was one thing after another on both fronts. What we call home physically and home virtually, or where we are connected to our roots. It was just back and forth. So, tumemaliza na sasa na hii Republican convention, I don't know, VP being elected, or should I say candidate for your Republican Party. Alafu unaangalia local politics. Maryland pia kuna ka special election inafanyika. There's just a lot of political, should I say, upheaval this week, and a chess game being played. Pieces being moved around, and we are caught in the middle. So unajua, you stay awake to listen to things in Kenya, you lala, then you also have to be reader over here, checking, making sure uko gangari, and and keeping up with what's going on. And there's something that never fails us: matangas ziko na zinakuja day in day out. So with your day to day, it's been a very, very, very long week. Na kesho tuko na
maandamano. All right. Uno Mike, how has your week been?
Si, senor.
Yes, how has your week been, and how have you been dealing with all the things that have been happening?
So first, let me say, wapenzi wasikilizaji, is that what you call them, Mika? Wachangiaji. Wapenzi wachangiaji, karibuni sana. It has been overwhelming. There's a lot of info. There's a lot going on Twitter Spaces. A lot of information.
I think it's called X these days.
Oh, sorry, X Spaces, whatever. Spaces. How about that? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No. Spaces.
X Spaces, and then now we are being inundated with unyues ya maskio. But on top of that, another thing that is also worrying me is this call for Papa Joe to step down. That has been permeating. So it's a
lot of political rhetoric.
So in addition to all this that's going on, now we have to handle this, because we're in July.
Yeah.
Elections are in November, but in between there's a lot that is riding on, and it's like it's heavy, and sometimes it's like you want to just step back and just decompress just kidogo a little bit before you overwhelm yourself with so much info, so much what's going on, because everybody there, us over here, our eyes are on the 254, what's going on.
Yeah.
Maandamano, unaambiwa ati the whatever his name is puts out a ban on protests immediately. High Court judge says, what, your ban
it's reversed. Yeah.
It's reversed. Higher.
Ref waves play on.
Ref waves play on. Okay, here kuna mambo, Papa Joe naye sasa anapata COVID, lakini watu bado wanaanza kuteta, wanaanza kuleta kanande. Acha niwaambie, Papa Joe all the way. But
okay.
Yeah, it's been one of those.
Yeah.
Overwhelming.
Vacation Watagwan. Ali, you tell us.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I mean, like mine also, I was thinking, will this be the week I transition back to American news, because I've been on Kenyan news for the last 4 weeks, and not only Kenyan news. I'm talking about like YouTube videos from different channels, like X Spaces, and X Spaces, they're 24 hours a day.
You can't fall asleep on X Spaces, Bana.
Yeah,
those things are like constant. It's like you move this way, it's Ninis. You move that way, it's there. You move this way, it hits you, it slaps you.
Yes.
Ali, how are you guys keeping up? Because sometimes after me, I see those things and then I give up. I say, apana, no, this is too much.
No, you wake up, you go to sleep, and the X Spaces are still on. So yeah, it's been a lot. And then of course there was the assassination of Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump over the weekend. Yeah. It wasn't an attempted it was an attempted assassination. I said assassination attempt.
Yes,
yeah.
Attempted assassination.
Yeah. So like there was that, and then there's a fact of President Biden might be stepping down. Some are saying he might be stepping down as a candidate. There's some people who are also rumoring he might be stepping down as a president.
Good. All of those things sound good.
Yeah, he might be stepping down as a president. So a lot of things happening that we don't know. We don't know exactly, like what direction this country is gonna go, and of course, like also what's gonna happen back home. And I can see some comments here coming in from Slay, who says it was a little overwhelming. And then she says also Ruto just slapped us in the face by reappointing some of the cabinet secretaries back.
How about most?
Washeke says it's been mentally draining the last 1 month. We are fighting wars on two fronts. And then Washeke says, Slay, it was more of the middle finger and saying mtadu. And then I can see JJ is there, like in JJ Badwaja comment. But that's what's been happening back home. So if we go straight to like what happened earlier today, because that's what's most immediate in people's minds, President Ruto announced like a partial cabinet, and among the names that came back from the previous cabinet was Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki. Then there was Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale. There was Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir. This was a docket that was with Murkomen, but now kind of like going to Davis Chirchir. And then there's Environmental, Climate Change and Forestry to Rosalinda Soipan Tuya. And then Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Alice Wahome. And then there were other new cabinet secretaries that were also, let me say, nominated because they still have to be approved by Parliament. And unfortunately, it's a rubber stamp parliament. So
okay, let me stop you there, Ali.
Yes,
so the ones who are former, because don't they have to go through nomination again?
So
they've just been nominated.
No, the ones who
they have to go through vetting. Sorry,
vetting.
The ones who are nominated will go straight back.
So it's not clear. So let me say that there's two different opinions. Honorable Kaluma was saying that because they're already in the cabinet, they do not need to be appointed. But then there's another school of thought that says they need to be revetted by Parliament and approved. And then there's a third school of thought that says if they were dismissed, they're not allowed back.
But then Swali were they dismissed?
But didn't Ruto in his press conference he did say that
he said
he's gonna forward the names to Parliament for vetting.
So
in his speech.
So they didn't resign.
They didn't resign.
They didn't resign.
And they were not fired.
Yeah.
No,
so
but
cabinet was dissolved.
didn't he have
Cabinet was dissolved. You can
Yeah.
dissolve cabinet and then reshuffle it the way Mo used to do.
But he gazetted.
No, but reshuffling is not
gazetted,
dissolving.
yes.
He gazetted their firing.
He gazetted their firing. So that's where we have to wait for next week to see what's going to happen. We know that this government is not keen on
They don't
following rules.
They don't follow the constitution.
They don't follow the constitution. They strike first and then they try to figure out later.
They say my bad.
The constitution is there for you.
Yeah,
You're
not for
telling
them.
but
Correct.
not for them.
Yes, correct.
They're above the law.
Yes. Don't do as I do. Do as I say.
Yeah. So there was also some new names that came in. There was Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Eric Mureithi Muga, and then there was Agriculture and Livestock Development Dr. Andrew Muhia Karanja. Then there was Education Julius Migos Ogamba. And then there was Information, Communications and the Digital Economy Dr. Margaret Nyambura Ndongo. And then there was Cabinet Secretary Health Dr. Deborah Mlongo Baraza. And then the Attorney General Rebecca Miano.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Yeah, so
I think the Miano name.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but I think there's some. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. So this is kind of like the first half of the cabinet, and I believe like the president might be testing out certain things. Like he's testing out the idea of reappointing people who were already dismissed in the cabinet last week, and also wants to test out the idea if he can bring back the most controversial of those that were dismissed. Kipchumba Murkomen, Moses Kuria, and I'm forgetting who else I had on mind. So I think he might be retesting that idea.
Murkomen is gonna come back, or is gonna be shuffled to somewhere.
Yes.
Moses Kuria is gonna get a docket. He's gonna be shuffled back.
Wow. Thank you for
you think Ababu most likely at Arudi, yeah.
Ababu is a name a name that I had in mind.
Oh, be at Arudi, and then now this is where we want.
Ababu
but then this is where the games are gonna be played.
But now, how many
promises of ODM, right? So he had how many before 24?
Yes.
No, 21 is a legal limit. 21 is a legal limit. 22 aliongeza Mudavadi.
Okay,
yeah,
so
no, it's 22.
So now he has
14 and 22.
But then he
go
has,
ahead.
So he has 10 spaces right now. Right?
Yeah.
So those 10 spaces allow him to return his boys back and to give Baba the other 7 that is being purported is supposed to give.
Okay, got you. So you're saying the 3 and the 7.
Yes.
Okay.
So the numbers like that's Murkomen, Kuria, and Ababu.
Murkomen, Kuria, and Ababu might see a return next week.
And then he will give Baba his 7. But then now the thing is, where most of the games is supposed to be played is going to be in the PSS, because that is where he said he's going to do another reshuffle.
Okay, right? Once he has the ministers in place.
Yes, and don't be surprised if people fall back to the PS positions.
Okay, so from cabinet secretary back to PS position. Yes. Okay.
Because the thing is, this clearly proves that he owes people favors, and he's sticking to his word of giving back his favor. What he will say is that you told me that cabinet was not working, and I reshuffled it.
Yeah.
So here, Mika, is the question that he owes people favors, or he's been compromised to a point that he's being blackmailed right now?
You can say both sides, because remember also him, how does he control parliament? They owe him favors.
Through payment
or whatever way, but they owe him favors.
Yeah.
So he has something on them, basically.
Yeah, so it's...
But now the question is, do they have something on him? So yes, he might have something on them.
Yeah, they might have something on him based on the elections.
Yes.
They might have something on him. Like, you know, he still wants a second term, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, he has to think long term.
Yeah, so he has to think who is in what region, who can bring him votes.
And who can, like, so if these people decided to walk away from me
and say that I'm bad in that region,
and then go back and tell them that they look how I was chased away.
But don't you think the blunder from the very beginning was over politicizing all his appointments from the cabinet to all other spaces?
But isn't that,
which has brought us to where we are?
But isn't that what people praised him for? That he's a master of politics. He knows how to play politics. Remember, everybody was blowing his own how he's good at strategy, how he played out a sitting government, right? How he played out of 2 veteran politicians and beat them with the tools of power in their hands, right? Last week it was said here that he's a victim of his success.
He's a victim of his own success.
Yeah, which clearly points out here right now, because the thing is, he's not those leaders who are like, you know, the leaders who are good leaders, but then they're poor politicians. So he is a good politician, but not a good leader.
So and you know, and clearly, you know, like I mean, he's been a politician. And he's even occupied a cabinet position before, and he's been a vice president. Remember, he was a cabinet he was a minister in the coalition government before he was fired.
He came from Mtua Mkono.
Yeah.
He came from Mtua Mkono. He became an MP when people didn't expect him from being an MP.
No, but before he became an MP, he was in YK92. He was a fixer.
That's what I'm saying. He was a fixer. Alikuwa mtu wa mkono, right? Under Jirongo, right? Alikuwa mtu wa mkono. Like, alikuwa tu fanya hivi kupush. That is why his politics is that. That's why his politics is full of fujo, kelele, siasa, like going to places and dismantling the peace and doing like that's why that's what he knows how to do. And he grew. He became an MP when people didn't expect him to be an MP.
Yes.
Then from there, he was always at loggerheads with Moi, Nini. And remember when Raila sabotaged KANU, he was one of the people who sabotaged KANU with Raila.
When Raila sabotaged Kanu,
When Raila sabotaged Kanu, he was one of the people who sabotaged Kanu. But now the thing was, he was told go with Raila, but he was scared he didn't go. Remember, he held back him and Mudavadi. Because the thing was, if Ruto would have no, I think Ruto went with Raila. There was somebody who left and that crippled Uhuru.
So this is what happened when Raila took over Kanu. This was before the 2002 elections.
When Raila became the SG for Kanu.
Yes, when that happened, and then Uhuru was made to be the presidential candidate. Raila left Kanu and harvested Kina Kalonzo, Saitoti, and that whole crew. Now Ruto,
at that point,
he remained in Kanu,
because
he supported Uhuru's candidate.
He was held in Kanu. Ruto was supposed to move with Raila, and Raila would have been the presidential candidate.
And at
so
that point,
Raila not having Ruto at that point, it made Raila decide to go and negotiate with Kibaki and form. At
that point, Ruto was still a small player. Now, where he started crafting...
No, he wasn't a small player because remember right after NAC was formed, and then now Raila and NAC crumbled, where did Ruto go?
So that's what I'm saying. In 2002, when Uhuru was a presidential candidate, he was still fairly a small player in the national level, but now come 2005, when there was a referendum. That's a point where he crossed and went with Raila.
And they formed the original ODM.
Not only did he go with Raila, also Uhuru was with Raila during that referendum. That's something that a lot of people forget. That was back in 2005.
And they formed the original ODM, right?
They formed the original Orange Democratic movement, where you had Ngilu, Balala, Raila, and then Ruto, Nyaga, and there was a couple of other people.
Once they formed it into a party, it actually became a very strong party.
It became a very powerful party.
So powerful that even when they tried to play politics to break it down, and Kalonzo formed his own ODM
Kenya,
still this one was super powerful that Kibaki had to appoint himself at night to become president because he had lost the elections.
Yeah, that was an election that Kibaki lost 2007.
And that is where now the relationship between him and Raila crumbled because when it push came to shove that there was violence, we need people to be thrown under the bus.
But remember, under the coalition government, he was still appointed.
He was still a minister.
As a minister.
Yeah.
On Raila's side.
Raila's side, yeah.
So somewhere in the middle is where he got fired because of the maize scandal.
Yeah, but then all that came out from the ICC when they started doing the ICC thing, and then because remember, both him and Uhuru were ministers.
Yes.
Under ODM.
Under the coalition government.
Under the coalition government, but they were coming from Nini. Uhuru was coming through Kanu.
So Uhuru was not under ODM.
Under ODM, he was under Kanu.
Under ODM. Remember, before elections 2007, so Uhuru supported Raila in the referendum in 2005. But going towards election in 2007, he switched his support from Raila and went back to Kibaki. Remember, then there was this party called PNU.
Yes,
that was formed. So that's how Uhuru became a finance minister. Because remember when when Kibaki stole the election, he gave Uhuru the position of a finance minister. So that was back in 2007. So 2008, Sasa.
2008. But then that is where now the fractions came out, and each side had to throw somebody under the bus for the violence.
Right? And PNU provided Uhuru. And the ODM side provided Ruto. And that was the genesis of ICC.
It went through the... so from that, they tried to... Because the constitution had not been made in 2010, and the constitution in 2010 is what allowed them to be tried in the ICC.
In ICC,
So that is why these guys went and formed their own
their own new political party.
New political party from there.
Yeah. So a couple of comments here coming in from those who are tuned in. wow, you know, like we've neglected these comments here for a while. Let me see. 1 second here. Poleni sana wapenzi wachangiaji. Slay says you cannot ban people from protesting. And then Slay says this is why I'm not on X. I'm not sure I'd keep up. And then Washeke says there's actually a citizens assembly hosted by LSK starting at 1 a.m. Eastern time, 12 a.m. Eastern time on Space. I think she meant 12 a.m. You know, like Central time. And then Slay says maybe he thinks removing Murkomen, he took care of the arrogant people in Gava. The whole partial cabinet is not it. Slay says they have to resign. Steven JJ anasema rule of law ni kama gazeti ya kufunga nyama. And then this hapa anasema is Luther a certified cheesy asking for a friend. And Washeke says he's more of a narcissist. Slay says some of these people should not come back. What was the point? Allen Otis, karibu sana. Allen says Ruto was having a dialogue with himself. Hamjui give and take. And then Slay says, I just hope people are awake. A second term will be detrimental. Stephen JJ says Uhuru was deputy VP or something. And then Slay says, you all have good memory. I had forgotten some of these coalitions. Yeah, I think it's important to study, you know, like what has happened in history to avoid mistakes being repeated. And that's the reason why I think a lot of these Gen Zs are saying no to dialogue, which I think is the position that people should stick by, because between I think for the last, like, I want to say like 15, 16, 17 years, there's been more than you know, there's been about 20 dialogues and 20 different reports on the different dialogues that we've been seeing. And you see that's not so we already have these things that people want to dialogue about. They're already on some reports gathering dust somewhere. And we have the complicated situation of Raila returning, or rather ODM returning with the men in black. When there was that
which was the most
press conference.
Which was the most stupid thing I've seen come out of ODM. Like the last time the men in black came out was nearly something like this. But then it was just to disrupt an election or something. But for this one was a purely utter disrespect to all the other Azimio guys. And it shows, this one clearly showed, if, you know, they thought that, and I believe that there's somebody who has told Raila that you still have that power of people following you blindly, which he needs to wake up and realize he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Because even his sycophants have started turning on him. Even the guys of Bunge la Mwananchi, kina Nuru Okanga, have started turning on him.
Yeah.
When the story of the men in black came out, they thought that it was goons who had gone out, and they was very mad about it, saying goons are not going to go after Raila. But when they realized what's happening, they even said they told Raila no. And then when it gets to a point whereby you have your footmen like in a babu telling you, I'm not working with you, even your own child telling, I'm not going to support what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's time for him to start to come and realize that read the mood of the people. Whatever mood you're trying to read, it's over. And right now, how people perceive politics anymore, it's not going to happen, because what's happening right now, what did the Gen Z say today? Okay, amesema hivyo. Fine, we're going to go back to the street on Tuesday. But before Tuesday, what are we doing? We are translating everything that came out today in all languages, and we're going to share it widely and everywhere. Watu wajue nini imefanyika. So those days of assuming that Kenyans are ignorant and they're not getting information are gone. Smartphones are everywhere. News is on people's hand. Internet is cheap in Kenya.
I think part of the problem might be we are seeing a whole order that has been established for over
Since
30 years. Not necessarily since independence, because I want to say in the 90s.
I'd say since the 90s.
No, since independence.
No, let me explain.
No, let's look at this.
Let me explain, Mika. Let me explain, Mika, what I mean. The reason why I say the last 30 years, because since independence, after independence, very shortly after, multi-partyism was banned. So there was a one-party state. So it was the KANU loyalists who benefited in politics. Then come Sabasaba, 1919 elections, 1992, there was now a multi-party system. So that loyalty to KANU, so there was a whole host of people who were wiped out, a whole host of loyal KANU people. There are few who survived, but they started being wiped out in 1990. More of them were wiped out in 97. And I want to say, you know, like by 2002, most of them were completely obliterated because this new order had taken shape. So this new order, I want to say it started taking shape, you know, like in the mid-90s, now coming towards 2002. And it has kind of, you know, like sort of ingrained itself. So the people who've been politicians in this system, there's a certain way of doing politics that was dissolved overnight. But now here's the thing we have to wait for. You know, like we have to wait for an election to prove that this system has completely been dissolved. We have to wait. Of course, you can tell by how everyone is talking that there's been a total shift. So I think the fear that's with Baba and with people around Baba and even on people on Ruto's side, they're like, this is what we've known. This is what we've learned for the last 30 years. Think about you're a taxi driver. You've owned your cab for 30 years. And then all of a sudden, there's Ubers, you know, like people with no experience, you know, like with 30 minutes worth of training and a GPS, a phone with a GPS are coming and they're doing what you are doing more efficiently than you are doing.
At a cheaper.
You know, at a cheaper price. So that's the biggest fear, I think, that's there, that there's this struggle with what Wakona Baba. They're telling him, let's try to reassert the order like it used to be, because if things move this other way, we've all been faced out.
But let's look at it this way, Ali. Politicians are opportunists. That is why in Kenya, it's not been like here, right? Here we have the establishment, the two parties that are always stuck on.
Yeah.
And if you feel you don't like what is on that party, you become an independent. And you go independently. Right? You go after everything independently. There's never CG you'll hear somebody was once this. It's very rare except Trump. Trump was a Democrat. Saidi Republican.
Yeah.
Right? So
But
in Kenya,
he's still towing a party line.
yeah, but in Kenya, I can tell you every election, there is new parties that are formed. Even the president was did not get office with the party that he was the VP with. He got an office with another new party, right? And before he became a VP, he did not get a VP from the party that he was an MP with. That was a totally different new party.
Yeah.
You are a P.
Then before he was an MP that time to become a VP, he was still in another different party.
Yes.
The same thing. The oldest party in Kenya is ODM. But also ODM shifts. It changes colors like a chameleon, right? It
No,
does
KANU
marriages
is the
of
oldest.
marriages of convenience.
Isn't Kano the oldest?
KANU.
Yeah, KANU. We'll say KANU. KANU is the oldest.
Second oldest, you could
Second
say
oldest
ODM.
is ODM. You can say it's ODM, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then ODM also marries itself. Why? Opportunity. They look at opportunity. People are opportunists. People make deals based on. People don't make deals based on how they want to serve people, how they want to. People make deals that serve themselves better, right? At this particular moment, there was no opposition in Kenya. ODM as a party was dead. There's only Sifuna and Babu making noise. But as a party, it was dead. The government assumed that below ODM hakuna maandamano itafanyika, right? Maandamano came out. When maandamano came out, ODM were like, even people were saying like, hakuna kitu watu watafanya, watu nini. That's why there was that KFC na Uber comment,
Yeah.
right? They're like, there's nothing these kids are going to do. But guess what? The KFC and Uber kids show that we can do something. Now, there was a vacuum that was created. The vacuum that ODM was supposed to cooperate was there. So what did they do? They're trying to take that opportunity to come and reassert themselves, right? And the only way they're telling the guys that, they're assuming that if we tell our people don't go to the streets, our people won't go to the streets. these other kids will feel like they don't have numbers. Watu wetu ndo watu wa fujo, wanajua kupigana kufanya nini. Watu wengine ni waoga, wataogopa. Right? But what they're not realizing is that even their supporters, they have supporters in that age group, and they have supporters who are facing the same issues these kids are facing.
Yeah.
And these supporters are realizing, unajua, at the end of the day, pia wamefunguka macho, ODM itusaidiangi na kitu. An MP will come atupatie 2,000, atuenda tulewesha, tuambe tukarusha mawe. And then after that, what happens? I'm still going to be, I have to go to Inda to look for work. I have to hustle, I have to do anything. And these guys have families, they're trying to, like, they're not young kids wako tu hivi. The Gen Zs in the ghetto are fathers and mothers. Right? They don't have the privilege of staying at their parents' home wanakuwa provided kama wa middle class na wadosi. So they actually feel this pain more. And that is what makes them come out. And that is why you see the police are camping in Githurai, in these other outskirts, other estates, right?
Yeah.
They're realizing that they're trying to contain that group from getting to the CBD, because if these groups come to the CBD, mambo ni mbaya. Because the one time all those youth came na wakaenda CBD walifika parliament.
Yeah, waliingia bunge.
Yeah, so they're really scared about that. And now the thing is, this is where I'm saying ODM is failing to read the mood. And that is why you see individual politicians from ODM and Azimio coming and saying, no, maybe I'm sticking with the people. I'm sticking with the people because they understand that this is not a one-time thing. They are looking at it and they're realizing that that thing of assuming that politics is usually citizens are involved during campaign and voting. After campaign and voting, it goes back to politicians politicking is over. So, and that is what these other politicians, seasoned politicians need to realize. And the one thing that I'm liking about it is that, as you've said, when KANU and NAC and all those was happening, when multipartyism was coming, establishment was being knocked down. Right? The regulars of that type of politics were lost along the way.
Yeah.
What I like about this is, you know what? Now the wheat and the chaff has been separated.
Yes, and you know, my other theory is, because this thing is so loud, I don't think the ODM establishment would be blind to what's happening because it's so loud. I think it could also be they're realizing this old order is going away, and this is our last chance to ever become cabinet secretaries.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's also a possibility.
That's what they're realizing. And then the thing is, but then one thing also Ruto has to realize is that these guys are desperate, and these guys don't control that power as you assume they are, because these guys will try to benefit from that vacuum that is there by trying to pretend and showing that we can show him this. That is why you see Baba telling people, don't go to the streets, you don't go to the streets. They want to see that, they want to do, if Maandamano reduces kidogo, and they say, you see, we have the power of controlling these people not coming to Maandamano, give us this. And this is where it's going to be a lose-lose for both of them. They're going to get their positions. They're going to get whatever they're getting.
I think Ruto's calculation, because he was cornered, because I believe he's
because
also
Ruto also is scared of his people are scared, because his people also have been wanasalimiwa huko pali wako, right?
Yeah.
So there are people obviously who are not going to toe the line the way they're going to toe the line, right? So he's scared of these people who are not supposed to toe the line, merge up with this nani ache watu ODM huko nje kwa giza, watu Azimio kwa giza. If these people merge up,
but I think
and they make numbers, then I will not be able to rule the country.
So I think that's
so
partly what he's
to get some of them to,
you know, like,
to help him.
If he and also if he had alienated Raila in all this, or if he had not used Raila to try to sanitize him, if Raila had joined, you know, like had asked the ODM side to join the Gen Zs and follow the lead of the Gen Zs, the government would have collapsed.
Kabisa.
It would have completely collapsed.
Kabisa.
So I think, you know, like he's buying himself time. And there's no guarantee that this is going to work. But this buys him time. This buys him time to try to figure out what to do. And quite a number of comments have been coming in while we were talking here. So Slay says, let me see. I just hope people are awake. A second term will be detrimental. And then Slay says, you all have good memory. I had forgotten some of those coalitions. And then Slay here anamuuliza, Washeke anamuuliza Slay kama alikuwa amezaliwa. And then Washeke says dialogues have actually caused more harm than good. And then let me see. Slay says things are different. Raila should have just stayed silent. Also, Luther cannot use tactics used during Moi's era. Things have changed. Stephen JJ says Uhuru had 2 titles, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance under the Grand Coalition government. Yes, that's true. I remember they created all these fancy positions. And then but I think Slay says what Mika is saying. And then Apa Kenyan Jui karibu sana. You know, like I think we've been able to decipher who you are, but we'll let you know who you are. Not right now, but we're going to let you know who you are. Our sleuths have discovered who you are. So Kenyan Jui says, I think Mika misses Ali's point, which is all the politicians are coming to face with the inevitable demise. They know that there are no more software updates left. It's a new world order that they can't adapt to. And then Upper Stephen JJ says, I believe this is why Baba wants to give his guys an opportunity kwa sababu labda ameona hii ndo mwisho wa safari, meli imetia nanga. I was waiting for Unomike to say that other word. And then Slayer nauliza OneMic na Umosh ni viewers pia. I'm wondering the same thing. And then Washeke here says Mika and Ali have taken over.
Tell Slay we will pay her whatever money we owe her.
Yeah.
Anyamaze tu kwa nyuma ya tent.
Okay, sawa. So prove her wrong that you guys are not
No,
girls.
I mean you guys were in the midst of throwing jabs back and forth about coalition this, coalition that, party this, party that. So now we were supposed to interrupt uko ndani.
Yes.
So vile Kalonzo unapita katikati yao.
What happened to him when he was pitting katikati? He was overtaken by events.
But he got a VP position.
No, I'm just saying he got overtaken by events recently. Hapa tu. We talked about it.
Actually, Ali Umosh,
Yes.
mimi naona benefactor wa hii fujo yote
Yes.
itakuwa anaweza kuwa Kalonzo.
Katikati man.
But you know, it's the guys who always go with the wind.
With Gen Zs.
Yeah.
You know, it's the guys who always go with the wind who come out on top.
But then, for somebody who's been known to have a reputation of being shifty,
Yes.
he's been very strong.
He's been very solid.
On this one, he has been consistent.
He's been very solid.
I gotta give him this one. On this one, he has been consistent.
And this is gonna give him a chance to I think grow his party because I mean his party has always been there in the wings, attracted like a certain crowd. But then you also have to remember that these traditional politicians, still there's certain few things they know, despite the fact that the order is changing. The newcomers still have a lot to learn.